Good morning. I had a couple of thoughts running through my mind this morning, and it's been a while since I recorded a short or long video and shared it. And I thought I would do that this morning. What I want to talk to you about, and I hope I can keep this as brief as it is in my mind. Sometimes when I'm trying to share something that's on my mind, I find while I'm processing it, even while I'm communicating it, because I don't share things in the format of simply informational, but experiential, because I believe that that's where God meets us. It comes out in a way that may sound like rabbit trails or something like that, but in my mind and in some minds, that's the way that we talk. That's the way that we process thought. Doctors might and do. If you go to a doctor and you have a knee issue, like with your knee, and you have pain in your knee, you may go in and say, I've got pain in this knee, and it hurts for me to walk. So you've presented a problem, and doctors call that the presenting problem, and they start ruling certain things out. They'll do this test and they'll do that test, and much like if your lights don't come on when you flip the light switch on, you have to first, that's the presenting problem. The lights didn't come on. The knee is hurting. And so whoever the diagnostician or the person presenting the care plan, whether it's for something in what we do daily, or if it's something in the medical field that we don't understand the language that they're using, these principles all apply. They're stacked on top of each other, and the wisdom from God is it's bright. It's like light shining on it, and it gives you what you need. It gives me what I need. And so the first step, for instance, if I were to flip a light switch on, or the first step you should take is to call the power company. No, obviously, the first step is to make sure that other lights are on around, and check the bulb, just the basic. If it's a lamp, is the thing plugged in? We don't want to call the power company out and just start cussing them out if we haven't even investigated at all whether the darn lamp's playing. Maybe there's lights on in the rest of the house, and that would tell us that we have power to the house. And later on we're going to check the breaker, and we're going to stay. And if that's on, we may get into the circuits in between at each junction point. And then you may want to think about, have you had any remodeling or any building going on lately? Has any of these wires been interrupted? And that's the type of questions that a doctor or a master thinker in that field is going to ask you. They're going to ask you, well, what has your diet changed? And they can tell probably if you're obese by seeing all the extra fat that you're not burning. Then they can see that you're probably on a higher sugar carb intake than you need to be. You're not burning off that fat. You're reserving it. And you've trained your body. All these things are stacked on top of each other. It really doesn't matter what subject you're talking about. They're just stacked on top of each other. And so I just now realized that I've just put a huge parentheses around a simple thing, and then every bit of that is still not what I wanted to talk about. I only said all that to say how I want to tell you what I want to talk about. And I'll say this, I think I can say it very, very briefly. Every one of us, let me say it this way, a little differently. Some of you are children, and some of you, like me, are adults. Some of us adults have children, But all of us, every single person, whoever you are, we were a child. There's no escaping that. There is, unless you were born at 32 years old, you were a child at one point. And of course, that's not the end of this point. So we can say that we were all children. Now, even though some of us still are, and this is not a spiritual thing I'm trying to connect with or anything, this is just a natural truth. We were born through a natural mother with the seed of a father. So we have a human wrapper. We have a human presentation about us. When we look at each other, we see how we are presented. And we're used to seeing the presenting problem, and that's why that's important. Everything I said earlier is you can't love me and I can't love you unless I can dig and see past your presenting problem. Sometimes our presenting problem isn't a presenting problem, and we're looking for a presenting solution or a presenting trophy, award winning. And we all love competition and sports and winners and all that stuff. But that does not, all that is not at the core of what we think it is. And it can, if not in the right context, move us in the opposite direction. We've established that we were all children. Some of us are children. I don't know who's listening to this or watching this, but we all were children. Some of the television programs I enjoy watching, and there are a lot of sitcoms and that kind of thing that I enjoy watching. And I've found that many of them are very accurate. They may be fictional stories, they may be made up, they may be based in some type of reality, but they do a pretty good job of being honest about the nature of what they're trying to present. Sure, they're biased in presenting their own propaganda thing woven in there, and if you're aware of where you are and who you are in Christ, with God, those things aren't snares to you so much. They're just they're fishing and you're not biting. But one of the things that I find very honest is like when you see a child who is afraid. They're potentially, maybe there's a home invasion or something like that, and the child goes and runs to the closet or under the bed, or there's a noise in the house and the covers are pulled up over the child's face and head, and and the eyes are covered so that the child thinks that they can't be seen, and so they feel safe and protected and all these different things, and because they can't see you, they don't think you can see them. And as children, we have fear, and we hide from this thing which has made us fearful. And I was thinking this morning as I was driving the school bus with all the kids behind me and things like that, I was thinking how children are, when they're hidden in these closets and in these places, when that FBI on the television show, for instance, and the FBI agent or the police officer or fireman or good citizen or whoever it is, you or me, comes to their aid and offers them compassion, it's going to be okay, they say. We say, it's okay. I'm here to protect you. I'm here. You're safe now. They change. Their demeanor changes, and they are now accepting that they are safe. Now, here's what I wanted to tell you. I needed to tell you all that so I can tell you this. And this is so important. God is not hiding from you. God is not hiding from me. It was cloudy this morning, and it was chilly, and while I was out and about, and I remembered thinking and reading years ago, and I was meditating as I was moving about this morning, how God promises to come back from behind the clouds and open himself, make himself available and open face to face with us. And even Paul even writes in the love chapter that we will behold as in a mirror, like face to face, and be known as we are known. We will know as we are known. Now, who is this known? We're known by God. So the child's covers over his face in the closet. Nobody else can see him. God knows exactly where we are, and we're the ones hiding from God. The issue's not, is God hiding from us? And we could find scriptures, you and I both can find scriptures that say God's seeking those. And then we know what wisdom does. When we are seeking in the context of truth and light, what's happening is really that we are being opened and more honest about coming as a child, and being honest about all that guile we've been carrying around, and all that fearfulness, the things that were moving us, the things that make us afraid to listen to someone with a differing point of view. We've in the context of anti everything I'm trying to describe, we've become so afraid that someone's not supporting our position. We don't want to listen to them. We want to do a Will Smith on them like the other night, and whether that was real or not, or fake, or there was obviously other things going on. Will Smith goes up on stage and hits Chris Rock. I don't know about any of that, what was happening, wasn't happening. I don't know what's happening in Ukraine and what's happening for Russia. I don't know, and don't even care in some ways. I am not responsible, you are not responsible to figure out everything and the motivation behind everyone's actions. You will have wisdom. I have understanding sometimes, and I can just and you will too, and you do too, when you're just listening to someone and when you're just present with God, that word becomes flesh in you, and it's able to split, and you can separate thoughts and intentions, and you can see the intentions when you're in the midst of the world. When you're in the world, you can see the intentions. You're not responsible, and I'm not responsible for making my choices based on everyone's intentions. If I ran around and I was so concerned about what was Russia's motivation or China's, Ukraine, President Biden, President Trump, I don't care. You can name them, and I don't. It doesn't make you. My responsibility is to, if I see someone in need, that I offer help. And what I see in need right now is that we're a people so wrapped up in our flesh that we can't see past the presenting problem. Brothers, sisters, friends, if you can't see past my presenting self, you can't love me. Stop lying. You don't love me. You don't love your wife. You don't love your husband. You don't love anybody. Your neighbor, your child, if you can't see past their presenting self. Esau and Jacob were children of Isaac. Esau, firstborn, favorite. You don't have favorites? You're lying. Favorite does not mean loved. You can love everybody. You can look past the presenting problem. Everybody's not the firstborn, and everyone does not fulfill the same purpose. You have an individual purpose, and I have an individual purpose. Esau had a purpose being the firstborn. Jacob pretended. He wore a mask. He put on this deer skin on his hands and arm and pretended to cooked the meal for his dad as his father, Isaac, was getting older. Jacob stole the birthright. The blessing went to him anyway. All these things, we keep disqualifying people because they jump in line. You don't understand that we've got to look past the presenting problem. That's what God does. That's what He did in everybody out of the garden. I'm gonna put cherubim with flaming swords to protect the garden so you can't go back in. And this is straight in context. The Garden of Eden. And what we found ourselves is saying, "Oh God, we want to be more like God." So we've built this imaginary something in our minds that says that the presenting problem is we need to be more like God. And so we've deduced from that the answer is to exert effort. Now, the answer to be more like God is stop being fearful and accept yourself outside of the presenting problem. Adam and Eve were not unaccepted. They were just, they chose to go a route. And we are in that route. And it's a choice, but it's all illuminated and led by the Spirit. And so everything I'm saying, if it's for you, it'll resonate. If it's not, it's not. And that's okay. I'm going to love you either way. There are some of us who are an abomination to that purpose, just like if it doesn't reveal or demonstrate the pattern in which is clearly seen in nature, those things are an abomination. That does not mean unaccepted. Yeah, you could be an abomination and still be able to see past their presenting problem. Don't get those things confused. Jacob received the blessing, but that didn't mean that Isaac loved Esau any less. That doesn't change any of that stuff. So, you're loved. You may not have favor on you right now. You may not be experiencing those blessings or that favor from what we understand them to be, and that may need to evolve. That may need to change. So, I believe that, in a nutshell, we are all hiding at times, at least, from God, and God is knocking on our door. And it's like the fields are white for harvest, and we don't have to go anywhere to find Him. And if we will just open ourselves, and live with our hands open and our hearts open, the next wave will come along pretty soon, and the next light will illuminate our path. And I can promise you that. I've experienced that over and over and over, and I know that that's faithful. He is faithful to meet us in our need. And where are we? Be honest. Sometimes we're in a closet hiding because we're afraid. We don't want the world to go to hell in a handbasket. It's the world. What do you think it's going to do? It'll be redeemed. It's being redeemed. It's already been redeemed. Ever which context, and they can all be simultaneously true. You can be saved and be being saved. You can be both of those things. It's the knowledge of the truth that sets us free. It's not just truth. Truth floating around is not going to help you. It's the knowledge of the truth. You got to buy into this, and you got to. If I were to drive down, and I may drive down in a second, I got too much going on. I got too many balls in the air. But the psalmist early on writes, "Be like a tree, oak." One version says, planted by the water, the stream. I got trees falling down all the time. I got a lot of property here, and they're rotted, many of them, on the roots, and they're planted right next to the moving water. They're planted there, or were they? No, they were just in the same vicinity of the water. They weren't drinking it. Planted means you're accepting this. You're buying into it. You're drinking this up. You're drinking this water. You're not just showing up for church, and you're not just turning on my video and like, oh yeah, well, you done probably turned it off by now, 99%, because I got a little long-winded again. This is the way I want to communicate this. I'm not trying to build a billboard and make it easy. It is easy, and it's simple. It may not be easy in the context of what we want it to be, but it's not. I can promise you this, it's not the way we thought it was, because that has to change. Our minds have to change. And then if any transformation that's done, it'll be done through that type of process. So I got to turn this off. I got lots going on, and I want to tell you I love you. The FBI agent has opened the door. You are safe. The policeman, the fire department is here. You're safe. It's okay. It's okay now. No matter where you're hiding from, it's okay. You're accepted. You're loved. I love you. And I can see past your presenting problem 90+% of the time. Sometimes I'm better at it than others. But the presenting problem, don't offer permanent solutions to temporary problems. Offer temporary solutions to temporary problems. Permanent solutions belong to permanent problems, and dig them out. Search those out. Find out what the permanent things are, and then you'll see what the variables are. And the variables change. You know, we may not do the same thing we did last year. Love you. Bye for now.